being here. I'm actually visiting from DC for the weekend. It's been a great couple of hours so far. I will say though, like living in DC, I'm right now living with like a very successful roommate, like works in Congress, speaks 3 languages, kind of a roommate. Yeah. Do you know how hard it is for me to talk to a guy with blonde hair who also speaks better Hindi than me? It's like, who do you think you are, man? Rough to relate to him too, because one time we were at a restaurant, and I wanted to relate to him more, so I said, hey man, what's one thing that you want to do this year? Like, what's one of your goals? And he said, I'm glad you asked. I'm actually living on a boat for a couple of weeks. You know, I'm actually going to be living from the coast of Spain to like a remote island in the Atlantic Ocean. Yeah, I didn't know I was living with a fucking conquistador, but okay. You want to be different, I guess. That's the vibe you got going on. But like, lucky for you though, I am in therapy. I've been trying to heal from that. I'm trying to heal from that situation ever since. I've been the same therapist for 3 years now. I'm running out of things to tell him. In order to spice things up, I hit my therapist with a curveball. I was like, hey man, be honest with me. How serious are my problems? To which he responded, your problems range from serious to get over it. By far the nicest way that someone's ever called me bitch maybe. That's what it is. At least in a professional sense. I was like, okay, at least tell me which one is which, is like, that'll cost you $200 more. No, I'm trying to be better at this. Sometimes, every time I say that, someone will be like, well, if your therapist is so mean, like, why do you still hang around? Great question. It's because my therapist knows that I do this. So, like, he gives me copy advice, but it comes from a therapist's point of view, so it's, like, very fucked up. I sent him a recent video of mine, and he said, one thing that I lack in myself is proper enunciation. He said people are drawn to the way other people speak. So perhaps if you enunciated more, you could be seen as more funny and more attractive. Yeah, have you ever been in a session where your therapist gave you the insecurity? That's crazy. I know my insurance sucks, but I did not ask for this. It's Tuesday afternoon. That's the whole... I've been processing ever since. It's one of those things where you can't even walk. Like, how do you continue your day? He basically told me that my diction gives people the ick. I don't know. If someone told that to me on Hinge, I would unalive myself at the spot. I would permanently change both of our lives. No, it's not going well. I will say this though, for the record, I have to like change my expectations with this guy, because at the end of the day, my therapist is a white guy, so it's weird to talk to somebody who's part of the problem. And look, I say that because my therapist and I, we get along obviously, but there are some times where like the wording is a bit strange. Like, here's an exercise my therapist gave me that I'm never gonna forget. Try to follow me on this one. It was like, okay, Arko, I want you to imagine yourself as a clear ball of Play-Doh. Now, when something good happens to you, you know, it's like, think of that ball as untainted and pure. Your problem is that you let your intrusive thoughts get the best of you, and that ball becomes all dirty and brown. Any questions? This guy's taking a second. But I'm like, you could have used any other color. I don't know if you needed. You could have used any other color in that situation. I don't know if you needed that. To be honest. Like, the phrase "dirty and brown" is a wild analogy to make for someone who looks like this. That did not come from an accident. That had to come from somewhere. Like, do you think like when he's walking down the street and he like gets mud in his boots, do you think he looks down and he's like, oh my god, you know what this really reminds me of? My client, that's what it looks like. Just a fun time. No, I've been trying to be a bit more calm, be a bit more mellow, trying to be a bit more mellow in DC. Long story short, I'm doing edibles. That's the first thing. I'm doing edibles this year. It's been very, very amazing. But the first time I ever did it, it messed me up. Because the first time I ever did it, I was at a Young the Giant concert. And for those of you who don't know this, the lead singer of that band is also Indian. But I didn't know that walking in. And I had 40 milligrams of weed in me by then. So while we were setting up the stage, they just happened to be playing like Bollywood music in the background. And at that point, look, I was so faded, I thought they played that shit just for me. Definitely the worst time to have a main character moment, but that's when it's all